Let me know when you're awesome. JMC 6000 here, and what I have before us is the brand new for 2024 Hyundai Kona. Now this Hyundai Kona has been redesigned for 2024, all new sheet metal, all new design. I believe it's riding on a different platform as well, but don't quote me on that. But let's kind of go over it real quick, and in this review we'll go over the front end, the side, the rear, and everything in between. Awesome, here we go. So as you can see, the front of the Hyundai Kona is kind of ushering in the new design language for Hyundai itself. We saw this in the 2024 Sonata, and now we're seeing it on the Kona. And what we have is this light bar that goes all the way across the daytime running light, goes all the way across to one side and the other. Unfortunately, on the Kona, the daytime running light only stops about right here and right here. It doesn't go all the way across. Not quite sure why Hyundai did that. Maybe they wanted to save a little bit of money on LEDs, but there you go. Now, headlights and high beams are all LED. The turn signal, though, is incandescent, unfortunately. On the Sonata, they actually have the turn signal up here in the light bar. Not on the Kona. They use an incandescent turn signal in the front. No fog lights, no active air curtains or anything like that. That's kind of all fake and black plastic or gray finished plastic here. We got an air vent, we got a radar sensor for the adaptive cruise on this particular model. We have a camera up there. And then for the sides, this black plastic carries all the way through right down here, and it kind of, it speaks that this vehicle is kind of off-road ready, but it really isn't, especially when you look at the tires. They're only two, where did I go here? Oh, there we go. They're only two 15s, 55 R18, so 18-inch rim. Kind of a neat design for the rim, a 18-inch tire and rim size, but they're only 215, so they're kind of narrow, skinny tires. And then, of course, if you look on the side, the black plastic continues all the way back here. You do have a continuous daytime running light bar that goes all the way across. That does light up at night. And then you have LED taillights, but incandescent turn signal and incandescent backup light on here on the back for the Kona. No visible exhaust tips, but you have black plastic that just abounds. And then you got a little third brake light up here. So let's open this up. Back here you have a spare tire with actual tools to remove the tire if need be. And you also get a nice little package here. You do get a little cargo net that spreads out back here, but decent room back here for a small crossover. I just think there's better crossovers for the mix, for the money. But let's look at the window sticker. Wow, that's right in my face, son.
Sorry.
Don't know what you were doing there. Awesome. Window sticker here, $30,900 for this SEL all-wheel drive with the SEL convenience package. The convenience package, almost like the convenience package rolled in on the Sonata, comes with a 12.3-inch digital gauge cluster, 12.3-inch navigation screen. It also has smart cruise control, highway driving assist, has the paddle shifters, has the heated front seats, wireless phone charger, everything else in between, and it's actually a pretty good package for the money. Unfortunately, let's go find out what's underneath the hood, and that's where things start to go downhill for the Kona. Under the hood, we have a 147 horsepower, 2-liter Smart Stream 4-cylinder. Now, there's nothing really fancy going on with this 4-cylinder. Unfortunately, it's just port injected. It's not even direct injected. It's only got, it has intake variable cam and exhaust timing for the intake and the exhaust camshafts. But other than that, there's really nothing else special going on with this engine. There's nothing fancy going on with this engine. And unfortunately, it's saddled to what Hyundai calls their intelligent variable transmission. Basically, it's another name for a CVT. It's a continuously variable transmission, and it feels like a CVT. Not as bad as some of the Mitsubishi products that I've test driven recently, but it feels like a CVT. But everything else is pretty much straightforward under here. You got a battery, air filter. CVT is tucked away over here. Your engine, this is one of their newest engines, but it's not the newest 2-liter that they have or that they offer. But it's a decent engine for what it is. It just doesn't get the best fuel mileage. And let me show you the fuel mileage real quick before we go inside. The fuel mileage on this guy is 26 city, 29 highway, and 27 combined. On the highway, I was just about reaching that 28, 29 miles per gallon mark. So the highway is dead on the money. It just, for the package and what you get, I think there's, I don't know, there's better options out there. Let's go ahead and go inside. We'll give the interior review. I didn't show this, but Hyundai has their new smart key. It's actually in the form of a Hyundai symbol, which is pretty cool. The new Sonata is the same way. So I'm just going to stick that right there. All right. Now, this does have Hyundai's newest screen on here, which is pretty awesome. And it has this nice 12.3 inch, it's kind of like a continuous screen right here. So we have the gauge cluster, and then we have the infotainment system, and this is Hyundai's newest infotainment system. Unfortunately for this infotainment system, at least on the Kona, it's not wireless Android Auto and wireless CarPlay. I'm not quite sure why. It was that way on the Sonata that I just reviewed, but not on the Kona. But it does have Hyundai's newest infotainment system. Like I said before, it's a nice system. It has a lot of information to it. And it can get overwhelming, but it's a very nice system to interact with too. And I love Hyundai, how they have some hard buttons that you can interact with the system with. You have a tune knob, a volume knob, and actually some nice gripping material on them. And then their climate control is nowhere related to their infotainment system. Their climate control, whether it be the Sonata or the new Kona, it's all separate, which is nice. All right, so while I'm in here, let's go ahead and talk about my likes and dislikes and some things that I'm coming away with the new Kona. So number one, let's go over my dislikes first, and then I'll go over my likes. I'll kind of switch it up today. So one of my dislikes for this Kona has to be the styling and the crazy amount of black plastic. Now I know it's been a kind of a Kona thing that Hyundai has introduced back when the Kona was first introduced, and this newer generation kind of continues that theme. But man, the black plastic is just going to get old and nasty and really ugly looking really quick. And I just don't think it's necessary on a vehicle to try and make it look more off-road worthy. Even though this vehicle, even though it has all-wheel drive, doesn't make it more off-road worthy just because it has the black plastic. But anyway, the looks in the exterior could be a little bit better. I appreciate the headlights that are LED and the high beams that are adaptive and LED. I appreciate all that, but I think the exterior they could have stepped it up for this new design, and they didn't. It has this blocky form to it. I'm not a big fan. Next thing that's really let down, my second dislike, is the interior. Check this out. I mean, everything. Even where you put your elbow is hard plastic. It bugs the living daylights out. Come on, Hyundai. I mean, at least this is soft, where you put your elbow right here. We've got a little storage in here. But everything else, dash, everything, down here, everything is all hard touch plastic, and it bugs the living daylights out of me. I mean, for almost 30 grand, you would think Hyundai would put a little bit nicer interior in here, especially being this is an SEL with the convenience package. Give me a little bit nice interior. I appreciate the tech, love the tech, but give me a nicer interior. So that's another thing that I wish Hyundai would do differently. And then my final dislike, and I had the same dislike on the Sonata, and it's a shifter. I mean, the steering wheel is kind of ugly and weird. I don't understand the 4 dots in the center, but it's a shifter. It's weird that you got to go, if you go one over, it's neutral. You got to go all the way over for drive, all the way over for reverse, and then you got to hit that for park. I just wish there was a better shifter. I think this is only on for the convenience package. They may introduce something different on the lower end models, but I just wish it had a better shifter. Anyway, so that's some of my dislikes. Now, for some of my likes for the Kona, I have to say that the screen, the new Hyundai screen, the instrument cluster, the infotainment system, how it's one continuous kind of display here, even though there's a break in between, but it's a continuous kind of a screen look. It looks great, and I think Hyundai done an excellent job. I like how it's centered towards the driver. I love all the hard touch buttons for the Hyundai system. I think Hyundai's new touchscreen, their infotainment system, is top-notch. I'm not quite sure why this system doesn't have wireless Android Auto and wireless CarPlay in this particular model, where the same system in the Sonata did. Maybe somebody can explain that to me in the comments. But I do like this system. I like all the hard touch controls and features for the climate control. And yeah, that's really nice. A second like I have for the Sonata has to be not only this system, but Hyundai's adaptive cruise is absolutely amazing. The way it interacts, you know, it slows down, it keeps up with traffic very well. And when I go around vehicles, it picks up speed, and even their lane tracing, I would guess you would call it, or lane centering, works really, really well. I mean, there's many times where I can go for, you know, 10, 15 minutes without even touching the steering wheel, and it just keeps track. As long as the road is straight, it keeps track, it keeps where it needs to be, and it's amazing. I have to admit, Hyundai's adaptive cruise, their latest system, is absolutely amazing. Their lane centering and all that, it works really, really well. One of the best in the business, I think. So it works really, really well. I'm really excited about what Hyundai's doing there. And then the last like that I have for this particular vehicle is it's somewhat comfortable. It's really squishy to drive. Versus the Sonata was kind of stiff. This has a nice floaty feel to it. It doesn't feel like a small crossover. I've driven small crossovers that are rough and you know, not very nice to drive, but this is a nice squishy, nice comfortable driving feel to it. I just wish the interior was more comfortable, but I do love the way it drives, the way it goes over bumps. It doesn't crash or anything like that. It floats kind of over the bumps. I'm amazed at the suspension, of what Hyundai did here with the suspension tuning. Now, before I get into the driving portion, kind of my overall recommendation, I think in the small compact SUV class, there are some competitors out there. I'm not going to lie. If you want a rugged SUV, I wouldn't go for a Kona. Go for like a Bronco Sport. Go for maybe a RAV4 or something like that. If you want something more rugged, I mean, a Hyundai Kona is just not it. I don't know. It's a decent buy for what it is, but I think there are better vehicles out there in its price point if you just search a little bit harder. And even the newest Trax from Chevy might be a little bit better, but the interior of the Trax is not very good, and they're about the same par with this. So I think there's some options out there that you would look at. Don't know if I would recommend the Kona. There are some nice features, but and then there's a drivetrain, which I'll talk about in my drive. But the drivetrain itself with the 2-liter with the CVT is just a little bit lacking, for lack of a better term. It's a little bit lackluster. It could be a little bit better. Anyway, that's my overall likes and dislikes thoughts about the Hyundai Kona. Stay tuned for the drive portion, which is coming up right now. All right, JMC 6000 here in the all-new 2024 Hyundai Kona. And we're getting up to my hill. I'm going to do my set speed here. And we're going to see how it does in the 2-liter with the CVT. Now, a couple of remarks about the 2-liter with the CVT. One is the 2-liter with only being 148 horsepower. It's not a lot, and it struggles just a little bit, especially if you're on the highway and you get on it. There's not a lot of reserve, and the CVT tries to do its best just to keep it in the meat of its power band. So right now, as I'm going up my hill that I usually do in all my test drives, it's kind of a raked incline. I would say, I don't know, 10, maybe 12 degree incline, going up at 55 miles per hour. I will say the adaptive cruise control works beautifully in this thing. I love the lane centering. That works very well, almost self-driving. But as I'm going up, I don't know if you can hear it on camera, but one of the things I'm noticing is that okay, now it's going up past 3 grand. It's fluctuating the RPMs quite a bit. Usually in a traditional stepped automatic, it would actually keep the RPM steady. It would actually hold a gear going up this hill. Even in some CVTs, like my Maverick, it'll hold going up the hill, maybe increase it just a little bit more, but this thing just keeps bouncing around, keeps fluctuating. It's indecisive. It doesn't know what to do. And I haven't experienced that before in a vehicle outside of this one, which is kind of unique. Anyway, so the powertrain is not the best in this thing. I wish Hyundai would put the 2.5 with the 8-speed, I think that'd be a good powertrain for this CVT, or for the Kona rather. But no, they equipped it with the 2-liter with this CVT. Now, if you want to get a better powertrain, if you actually love the Kona, you love the looks of it, and you want a better powertrain, then I would suggest getting the N-Line Kona, which has the 1.6 turbo with a traditional, no, sorry, it's not traditional. I believe it's an 8-speed dual clutch, but still, I think the dual clutch will work better than the CVT in this case. The Hyundai CVT is okay, but it has some issues maintaining RPM. It fluctuates a lot. It does mimic gears very well, especially when you put it in sport mode. But again, it has some issues just fluctuating RPMs. I'm even going down the highway, it'll all of a sudden it'll peak up to like 3 grand, go back down, and it's like, all I'm doing is going to steady speed. I don't know what's going on. It's just kind of weird and odd. But other than that, the Kona drives well. It has a nice cushy ride to it for being a compact SUV. I do like that. I just wish it had a little bit better drivetrain in it. I think if you love the Kona, you love the looks of it, I would suggest looking at the N-Line for a couple grand more than getting the regular Kona. But that's just my insight. Anyway, this is JMC 6000. You guys be blessed. Have a wonderful day. And catch me on the next one. I do uploads every single Wednesday morning and every single Saturday afternoon. All right, you guys have a blessed and wonderful day, and we'll see you later. Thank you.